The Royal Champion is finally getting new equipment with the Hog Rider Puppet and the Haste Vial. And in today's video, we're going to be going over whether or not these equipment are worth upgrading, what combinations are best to use with these pieces of equipment, as well as how I would prioritize your upgrades for all pieces of equipment in general. Let's start with the Hog Rider Puppet, whose stats you can see on screen right now. The most impressive thing about this piece of equipment has to be the fact that it can spawn 9 Hog Riders when it is level 18. And guys, this puppet is a lot better than both the Healer and the Barch Puppet, and the reason for this is because it's going to spawn max level Hog Riders. Not the max that we had from before, but the max that was literally announced yesterday. So guys, these are going to be some really strong Hog Riders. Now I've got some gameplay in the background of this equipment going off so you guys can see how it works, but remember that the stats will differ between levels, and I don't have stats for anything other than the max level puppet currently. One thing that I want you guys to really notice is the insane design features that the Clash team included when making this equipment. You'll notice in the stats that the Royal Champion goes invisible for 1 second when the ability goes off, and this is to allow the Hog Riders to tank for her instead of the other way around. This is amazing foresight and definitely makes this equipment worthwhile. Another thing to consider is the passive boosts of this equipment, but I will talk about all of the passive boosts in a second. Okay, now with all of that out of the way, let's talk about the other new equipment, the Haste Vial. The Haste Vial has some insane stats, as you guys can see on screen currently. It has an active ability which is absolutely insane, followed by passive boosts as well. And as you guys can see in the gameplay, the Royal Champion really speeds up and she does a lot of damage really quickly. But how much damage is this in reality? The stats of the Haste Vial show that she only gets a DPS increase of 88, but the fact that she gets 18% faster attacking speed gives her 9 more attacks every single minute. Now these 9 additional attacks also benefit from the additional DPS that she gets, so you're double dipping on the DPS stat that you're getting from this equipment. I did the math on calculating the actual DPS increase as a result of this equipment, and the real DPS increase is 197, which is approximately 36% bonus DPS for the Royal Champion. This is an insane stat, and this is not something that should be taken lightly. And this doesn't even include the active ability, which does even more damage and can get the Royal Champion to other defenses really quickly. But let's take all of this a step further and look at how the passive boosts for the Royal Champion compare from the new equipment to the old equipment. This chart in the background analyzes the passive abilities of both the new equipment and the old ones, and it also shows you which one of those boosts are the highest. As you guys can see, the Haste Vial destroys everything in terms of DPS, the Royal Gem destroys everything in terms of health regen, and the Hog Rider Puppet destroys everything else in terms of extra hit points. All 3 of these equipment are really good in their own situations, but where does that leave the Seeking Shield? To be frank with all of you, I can't see a single situation where I would prefer the Seeking Shield over the brand new Haste Vial. So unfortunately, I think this is easily the worst piece of RC equipment now, especially as it has no passive boosts to offer. Alright, now with the stats analysis out of the way, what are some good combinations that these pieces of equipment offer? The first combination I'd like to showcase is the maximum DPS combination, which includes the Haste Vial and the Royal Gem. This combination gives a total of 302 extra DPS, which is 55% bonus DPS, which is absolutely insane. You also get the best single equipment health regen from the RC2, so this is a very potent combination. But speaking of health regen, there's another combination that specializes in that. And of course, I'm talking about the Hog Rider Puppet and the Royal Gem. Now this combination offers the health regen that you can see in the background right now, which also benefits from the natural health regen of the Royal Champion. This combination regenerates 4,700 health, which is 94.2% of the total health of the Royal Champion. By using this combination, not only do you recover almost all of the hit points of your Royal Champion, but you can also use Hog Riders to start tanking for your Royal Champion, and you get bonus hit points on top of that. These two combinations are so insane that I'd go as far as to say that if your goal is to get either DPS or longevity on your Royal Champion, these combinations have the best synergies in the entire game. But what if you're getting experimental and you want to use the two brand new pieces of equipment together with the Royal Champion? Other than the fact that this would cost you 1,000,000 ores to actually get the levels that you require on each as soon as possible, you guys can see in the background that this combination really doesn't work because the faster fire rate of the Royal Champion competes with the Hog Riders, and thus the synergy is very poor. Now, all the other combinations involve the Seeking Shield, but like I said, surprisingly, the Seeking Shield has become fully outclassed by everything else that is coming out later this week. But now that we know these combinations and we've looked intensely at the stats, what are the priorities for upgrading? To be honest, a majority of players will already have levels on the Royal Gem, so if you're upgrading the new equipment, I think that it's super situational. The Haste Vial is good because a lot of players will use the RC to clear up buildings, and the Haste Vial is really good at that. Plus it adds tons of DPS, so it can help in smash style attacks as well, and other attacks where the RC is playing a little bit of a supportive role also get a boost. When it comes to the attacks like Queen Charge Hybrid though, I think it's really obvious that the Hog Rider puppet wins out here because it essentially gives you 45 free housing space of max level Hog Riders. In fact, I'd go as far as to say that this piece of equipment on its own could be the thing that brings Queen Charge Hog Riders as well as Queen Charge Hybrid back into the meta. But instead of nitpicking on every single attack strategy there is, here is my general advice on what you should upgrade first. Now, if we reference this chart, we can see that the DPS really is the name of the game when it comes to the Haste Vial, while the Hog Rider puppet really helps with the longevity and support troops. So simply just upgrade what you think your RC needs the most. If she's not doing enough damage, then you definitely need the Haste Vial, but if she's not surviving through the attack, then you might need the Hog Rider puppet. I'm sorry that I don't have a better answer at the moment, but I only have max level stats currently, so I can't talk about the return on investment and optimal levels for both equipment. That being said, I can tell you that both of these equipment are really good in their own situations. But a key caveat is the fact that I said earlier in the video that the Royal Gem used with either of these new equipment is the best combination. This means that the key piece of equipment that you need to upgrade for the Royal Champion now is the Royal Gem. So if you don't have high levels on your Royal Gem yet, I would actually prioritize that, because if we reference this chart once again, it carries weight in all departments and helps build the foundation of a monstrous RC when it comes to attacks. After that, it really depends on you. Now, in terms of all the equipment we have currently, I would put the Royal Gem fourth, behind the Eternal Tome, Giant Gauntlet, and Invisibility Vial or Frozen Arrow. Now guys, I've literally talked about the stats and everything, but I have a personal opinion about this as well, and it's just the fact that I think the Royal Champion is just way too strong now. Keep in mind that she will be with the Spirit Fox, which of course is getting nerfed, but it will still help her last a long time in the attack. And now she's doing even more damage than she already did, as well as getting more health and more health regen. I think she's completely broken. But the thing is, you won't be able to see what having a broken Royal Champion is like if you never get enough ores to upgrade her equipment in the first place. That's why you need to watch this video right here to see how you can gather more ores and then upgrade your equipment so that you can get stronger equipment in the first place.